So I made no price prediction in 2023. When the Bitcoin ETF came out, and I guess Bitcoin was like 3540 at the beginning of the year, I said, it's going to 100,000. And people scoffed at me and said, well, you made that prediction already, dummy, and it didn't happen. And I said, yeah, I got it wrong because I thought the SEC chairman was going to apply the law the way the law was written. I didn't think he was going to be arbitrary and capricious in the application and administration of the law. In fact, that's exactly what the court said in the ruling. Okay, so now you get the thing approved. It's at 100,000. There's going to be a supply shock, Ryan. And so there's no reason why this can't trade to 200,000 over the next 12 months.
Bitcoin is ready for its explosive growth, with its momentum building toward an incredible $200,000 within the next 12 months. That's the latest prediction from Anthony Scaramucci, former White House Communications Director and SkyBridge founder. After a rocky start in 2023, where predictions for Bitcoin's price didn't fully pan out, the approval of the Bitcoin ETF has set it for a major price surge. Scaramucci believes that a massive supply shock is on the horizon. With the ETF approval and greater institutional adoption, he notes that there's no reason why Bitcoin couldn't trade as high as $200,000 in the next 12 months. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video, as Anthony Scaramucci shares more secrets about this prediction. Also guys, if you want to stay most up to date on the crypto world, I send out a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter that covers expert predictions, on-chain data breakdowns, and breaking news, all for free. Click the first link in the description, enter your email, and join 50,000 plus others to become a better crypto investor right now. Now here's Anthony Scaramucci on Bitcoin's unstoppable surge.
It's funny, Trump is not that we're talking about astrology on your podcast, but Trump is a Gemini, right? So he's a twin. He's got two people in one body, right? He's got the evil bad twin, and then he's got the good twin, right? And so you get a mixed bag with the guy. And the stuff coming out on crypto is, I think, fantastic. I think you learn when you do these things. When I was on his transition team in 2016, you learn that personnel is policy. And so Besant, positive on crypto, understands it, wants us to be a force in crypto. Atkins, positive on crypto, understands the libertarian concepts of it, wants the United States to fairly regulate crypto. Howard Lutnick, he told Anthony Pompliano he's got hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin. I guess he's going to have to put that in a blind trust at this point, but he's Secretary of Commerce, loves crypto. So personnel being policy, and those are just some of them. I mean, there's a whole list of others. What about David Sachs? David Sachs is going to go be the quarterback inside the White House to help run AI and crypto strategy. Let's just, for the sake of this argument, let's say that it is digital gold to these people. And if we're at that point and we're in a modern society and Trump wants to make a statement, and we believe, rightly or wrongly, that the Chinese are going to move to buy Bitcoin, and they're going to move to make it a strategic reserve asset for the Chinese economy and the Chinese government. And if that's the case, what are we talking about? We're talking about $70, $80 billion. To put it in perspective, we've got a $6 trillion budget. So you're talking about 1% of it, 1.5% of the budget to buy Bitcoin, but we're also talking about it over 5 years. So you're talking about 30 basis points of the budget over 5 years, which could, emotionally strengthen the dollar and could put the United States on better competitive footing, or at least tie the United States with other Western nations. Said differently, if you put me in that seat, forget about the fact that I own Bitcoin. If you put me in that seat and said, is it in the United States' national interest to have a strategic reserve in Bitcoin? I would say yes. And then if you said to me, why? I would say 3 reasons. Number one, I do believe it's digital gold. And I think the future is changing, and I would want to have it on our balance sheet like we do gold. Even if you said I had to sell $100 billion of gold and replace it with $100 billion of Bitcoin. Number two, your generation, forget about me, I'm an old fart, but you're a young man. Your generation is going to live further and deeper in the digital world than me. I'm old enough to remember when the internet didn't exist. I'm old enough to remember when AOL was the way we got into the internet. And I have, should I embarrass myself on your Bankless podcast and tell you that I have an AOL email? Because I do.
Do you really?
I do.
Do you still use
you're
it?
laughing. You're
Does it
laughing
still
at
work?
me, but because that was the way you got in. Now I have other emails.
Yeah.
But I had that one. I still have it.
Well, okay.
And by the way, you had to pay for it.
Yeah.
They give it to you for free now, but you had to pay a monthly fee to have an AOL email. And so I'm telling you, your generation is going to be way more sophisticated about this stuff. I think China is already acquiring it.
Probably.
Yeah.
I
think they're already acquiring it because they're like, holy, blank. Trump is going to be long and pro Bitcoin. We kicked all the Bitcoiners out of this country. And again, more evidence about the strength and resiliency of Bitcoin. They kicked all the Bitcoiners out of the country, and 10% of the mining, Ryan, still happens in China. So to me, I don't know. I mean, look, this is the stuff I like about Trump, right? Like I said, you have a good twin and you have a bad twin in there. And the good twin is like, yeah, we're going to have a muscular defense and we're going to have a muscular national economic story. And Bitcoin could be a very big part of that for people. Also, remember, you're spending globally $7 trillion on verification of transactions. And that's everything from accountants and lawyers and wire fees, credit card fees. I could take you through the whole verification economy. It's $7 trillion. If you're telling me over the blockchain that you and I can trade and transact with each other and have the network itself, the blockchain, the technology, verify the transaction for us in a permissionless and let's call it trustless way, because the network is something we both trust, it's going to unleash trillions of dollars of capital that can get deployed into more economic innovation. So the world is changing, and the world is changing for the better. There was a group of politicians in the United States that did not want to embrace and accept that change. And they got their asses kicked in 2024. They got their asses handed to them. And so if Brian Armstrong's saying, hey, fellas, you want to keep this up? We're going to hand you your asses again in 26 and in 28. And by the way, do the math. It's a very tight country, Ryan. We're a 50-50 country. If you have 60 million people that own a cryptocurrency in this country, let's say 3% of them are single-issue voters, and that's a very small number. That's 1.8 million people. That could swing a Congress. It could swing the House of Representatives. It swung the presidential election. So are you allowed to curse on this podcast?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, fuck around and find out. Fuck around. Go ahead.
They already did.
Keep the nonsense up with all the stupidity, and let's see where it goes for you.
Meanwhile, Gelefu Mindfulness City, Bhutan's special administrative region, has announced the inclusion of digital assets like Bitcoin, Ether, and BNB in its strategic reserves. GMC will focus on digital assets with high liquidity and secure blockchains, supporting its goal of promoting blockchain technology in the region. The recent enactment of GMC Law No. 1 of 2024 also establishes a solid regulatory framework for digital asset companies, further driving the growth of the ecosystem. As more and more nations adopt crypto, massive growth in the coming years seems inevitable. What do you think of this development? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's return to Anthony Scaramucci for more insights.
I have yet to meet a person of above average intelligence that does the homework on Bitcoin that doesn't go towards Bitcoin. I have yet to meet the person. I did 25 hours of homework on Bitcoin. I read the white paper. I talked to hundreds of people on Wall Street. 25 hours on Bitcoin. I hate Bitcoin. I don't want to go anywhere near it. Now, one person, Stan Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones, Larry Fink himself, Abigail Johnson, do the homework on Bitcoin, go towards Bitcoin. I hated Bitcoin. You know who else hated Bitcoin? Michael Saylor. But he did.
Right.
Ask him. Get him on the podcast. He'll say, oh, it's a fad, it's passé, it's ridiculous. He didn't understand it. I hated it. Why did I hate it? Didn't understand it. Michael Saylor did the homework, and then when Michael Saylor got done doing the homework, he couldn't sleep. couldn't sleep. He said, Anthony, I couldn't sleep. Once I figured out what Bitcoin was, it's like, how am I going to buy enough of this network? How am I going to do it? Okay. And I said to him, because I got there after him, I said the same thing. Now, I've done in the similar way what Saylor has done, just smaller. Donald Trump in 2018 or 2019, you can find it, Ryan. President Donald Trump as president, I hate Bitcoin.
No, I remember.
This,
I remember when
okay.
this tweet dropped.
Okay, all right, so I'm not making it up. And then he got educated on it. And then he said, wait a minute, I now understand it. I want to be a Bitcoin president. You got to give him credit for that, okay? I'm a balls and strikes person. I told people what I didn't like about him, the bad twin and the good twin, okay? And so he's in. So I'm telling you, on the margin, there's going to be a legion of people this year that do that homework and get long Bitcoin. I think this is an $18 trillion asset. If it takes 10 years, so what? If I told you that you could hold this asset, it's 100,000 right now, and at the end of 10 years, it'll be worth $1 million. Go back and look at Apple, NVIDIA over the last 10 years and say to yourself, okay, we have something that's very obvious. It's right in front of us. And there are people that said, I can't buy Apple, it's too expensive, it went up 10x. I can't buy NVIDIA, it's a fad stock, it went up 15x. I can't buy Amazon. And they missed it. I'm not missing Bitcoin. And by the way, when I bought it, my clients, people wanted to fire me. You want to hear the story? I buy it in October of 2020. It goes from 17,000 to 69,000. My clients are calling me, telling me that I'm a visionary and I'm a genius. We go from 69,000. You know, we flash crashed. I think the low print was like 12,000. I don't know if it was like overnight. It was, remember. So let's call it 15,000. We went from 69,000 to 15,000 in 22. And I had clients calling me, the very same clients called me a genius. You're an imbecile, and I'm selling out my position. Okay. First of all, I wasn't a genius. I'm not an imbecile, but I did see something. And now you go from 16,000 to 100,000. Other people now see it. And so I don't want my clients to miss it. And I don't want your podcast listeners to miss it. So that's why I wrote a book about it.
Our podcast listeners are all in, Anthony. Let me tell you, this is kind of
okay. Well, I want them to stay in.
Oh yeah,
because you know, and I know, Bitcoin could trade to 75,000. You know, we had a move from 70 to 50,000 recently, before the election. So yes, it could go down from here. I'm not saying it's going to go straight up. Nothing goes straight up. Just don't sell it. I have gotten it wrong forever. I said at the end of 2021, Bitcoin would be 100,000 at the end of 2022. I got my ass kicked. So I made no price prediction in 2023. When the Bitcoin ETF came out, and I guess Bitcoin was like 3540 at the beginning of the year, I said it's going to 100,000. And people scoffed at me and said, well, you made that prediction already, dummy, and it didn't happen. And I said, yeah, I got it wrong because I thought the SEC chairman was going to apply the law the way the law was written. I didn't think he was going to be arbitrary and capricious in the application and administration of the law. In fact, that's exactly what the court said in the ruling. Okay, so now you get the thing approved. It's at 100,000. There's going to be a supply shock, Ryan. And so there's no reason why this can't trade to 200,000 over the next 12 months.
What are you worried about?
I'm going to tell you what I'm worried about. You ready? I can't find anything to worry about. And that's what I'm really worried about.
Not recession, not in the broader macro economy?
Well, no, I think a recession would probably help Bitcoin. I think it'd be a flight to safety to Bitcoin. So I would just tell people, live below your means, buy the Bitcoin, shut it off. You know, Fred Krueger, I think his name is, he had a great line. He says, there are two types of people. There are those that check their Bitcoin price every 15 seconds. And there are those that lie and say they don't check their Bitcoin price every 15 seconds, but check their Bitcoin, you know. But even if you're checking it every 15 seconds, and I appreciate that, don't sell it. Lock it up. Keep your brain away from Bitcoin. the emotional oscillation of your brain that could be affected by Bitcoin's prices. That would be my message to people, because there is something out there that you and I don't know that could happen that upsets price near term, but I don't think it knocks off the 10-year trajectory.
Anthony Scaramucci advises to live below your means, buy Bitcoin, and hold strong. Meanwhile, Fred Krueger sums it up best. There are those who check Bitcoin's price every 15 seconds, and those who lie about it. The key is to resist emotional reactions to Bitcoin's price swings and focus on its long-term potential. Even if short-term surprises shake the market, Bitcoin's 10-year trajectory remains unstoppable. Now, don't forget, if you want guidance through the exciting but sometimes unpredictable world of cryptocurrency, our daily 5-minute crypto newsletter is here to help. Don't pass up the chance to stay updated and make informed choices in the crypto market. The link is in the description below. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that it provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.